macaroni with the chicken strips.
Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin. I'm a film critic and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, television series reviews, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and you like popular culture and you like to see somebody pick those things apart, please consider subscribing. Today, as I record this, it is Miracle Monday, a very important holiday to Superman fans the world over. And tomorrow, the day this actually airs, will be the day that the CW Superman and Lois series comes back from a mid-season hiatus. So between the news there being a new Black Superman movie being developed by Warner Brothers, and the fact that it's been a full year since I, a huge mark for the Big Blue, have made a Superman-centric video on the channel, I thought it might be a good idea to catch up on the show and to talk to you all about what I think about it. I should get out of the way before we get any further that I am not an Arrowverse guy. I watched the first couple of seasons of The Flash and mostly liked it. I never really got into Arrow itself because it didn't really grab me. I watched a little bit of the time travel show they have, whose name I cannot currently remember. But beyond that, I felt like that entire brand expanded a little bit too quickly for me to want to really invest in all those shows. Black Lightning's first season was cool though. So my primary interest in Superman and Lois when it debuted boils down to two things. One, as previously established, I am a huge mark for Superman. And two, it's just something about that Tyler Hoechlin.
Small waist, pretty face with a big bang.
But in all seriousness, the one half an episode I saw of Supergirl that featured him made me think his Clark Kent alone would be worth following in a spin-off, regardless of the overall quality of the show itself. So when initial reactions to the pilot hit Twitter, I decided to give it a shot, because there was this overwhelming sense from social media that this show was providing the more upbeat, charming, aspirational take on Superman that fans were, just not getting from Henry Cavill in the Snyderverse. But then I actually watched the show, and I don't know what the fuck those tweets are talking about. Don't get me wrong, this initial sequence with Superman and the Golden Age S.H.I.E.L.D. recreating the cover of Action Comics #1 was cool. Cheap looking, but cool. But beyond that opening salvo, the show was way less far removed from the Snyderverse than people pretend. Aesthetically, anyway. Like, look, you cannot watch more than 5 minutes of this show and tell me everyone on the creative team wasn't watching the exact same Terry Malick flicks Snyder was when he made Man of Steel. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For anyone who has not yet watched Superman and Lois, here's the basic setup. On the Arrowverse's new Prime Earth, or whatever they call it, Clark Kent is Superman and he is married to Lois Lane, played by Elizabeth Tulloch. And the two do, regular, typical Lois and Clark shit. Except in this world, they have kids. A pair of high school-age sons, in fact. There's Jonathan, played by Jordan Elsass, and Jordan, played by Alex Garfin. Jonathan is essentially the dream version of Superman's kid. He's smart, popular, good at sports, and the Kents seem to think he's already developing some of his father's powers. Jordan, on the other hand, is the troubled one. He's got depression and anxiety, and a whole host of other personal issues that Superman can't punch his way through. It's honestly a pretty smart conceit when you think about it. Because neither of his sons know his true identity, Jordan thinks his father could never relate to him, because all the things Clark could share with his son about his difficult teen years all involve being superhuman. But a confluence of events leads their fraught status quo to shift even further into turmoil. First, Clark's mother Martha dies, spurring the family to Smallville where it turns out that Jordan, not Jonathan, is the one who manifests Kryptonian powers, leading to Clark having to reveal himself to his sons against the wishes of his father-in-law, General Lane, played by Nip Tuck's Dylan Walsh. Those two bombshells, coupled with Lois discovering that Morgan Edge, here positioned as an Elon Musk-type Lex Luthor stand-in, has his corporate tentacles in this small town for some mysterious and nefarious reasons, leading the family to pick up sticks and move into the Kent family farm, with Clark promising to spend more time as an attentive father and less time in the skies as Superman. It proves to be good for Jordan, who welcomes the new environment and develops a crush on Lana Lang's daughter, but difficult for Jonathan, who has to accept that he is not the special of the two sons and leave his otherwise very happy life in the city behind.
No, Dad, I'm not like you and I'm not like Superboy over there, okay? In this town, it is my kryptonite. I hate it.
If all that sounds like a little too much domestic drama, there's also a mysterious antagonist played by Wole Parks who turns out to be Captain Luthor, a Lex Luthor from another Earth where Superman is evil. He seems singularly dedicated to making sure that the same thing that happened to his Earth doesn't happen here. Now, I initially watched the first 3 episodes as they initially aired, and I was mostly into it, I liked the show. But then I kind of fell off and missed the next 2 and didn't watch them until today, now that it's going to be back from its hiatus. And now that it's back, and now that people are going to be watching the show again, I feel like we have to address the fact that this show is not the alternative that it was sort of purported to be by its early fans. in ways that are both good and bad. The same way Smallville was less a show about Superman and more a Dawson's Creek pastiche that happened to feature characters from the Superman mythos, Superman and Lois feels a lot like Smallville, but the Welcome Back Kotter edition, where Clark is back in his hometown as a hot dad trying to make sense of life outside of flying and punching things. It seriously feels more like This Is Us than any of the other Arrowverse shows, and that's not exactly a bad thing. This show feels like a really great refutation of that super stupid storyline from Superman Returns about Clark being an accidental deadbeat dad, finding a way to tell a story about Clark as a father that splits the difference between how sweet and almost fantasy-like Tomasi and Gleason's work with Jonathan Kent was in the comics, and the more ridiculous shit Bendis did with the family when he took over the books. I just wish the guys playing his kids didn't look like, not his kids at all. The relationship between Jordan and Jonathan works as an island unto itself, with the teen drama stuff in their subplots, despite being largely self-aware retreads of old Smallville storylines, working more often than not. But it doesn't mesh as seamlessly with the other two portions of the show. The ones that earnestly try to be a real Superman show about Clark fighting external threats and wrestling with his responsibilities as Earth's protector, and the parts that try to give Lois her own important moments as an investigative journalist. The former is compelling when it deals with the moral quandary of having to choose between family and saving the world, and Walsh does really solid work as a version of General Lane whose investment in the Kent family makes his day job more complicated. But when we have to see actual action beats and Superman doing real Superman things, the stuff you would think we would all be looking forward to, it just highlights the limitation of the show's budget and house style. Lois' stuff fares a little bit better, but it's hamstrung by the fact that her subplots are the ones where the writers seem to be trying to make meaningful social statements. Observations about how divided America is, and how rural areas are so heavily exploited by outside corporate interests. But it's harder to invest in those ideas in the show, given the stories surrounding the show's production and their inability to really engage with the criticisms made by one of its black writers. Like, if you work on a show and you try to tell the showrunner that it's weird that your show that's supposed to be a modern version of America doesn't have any black people who are not a black version of Lex Luthor, and I think the football coach might be black. If your response to that is that you'd have to fly black people into Canada because you can't find any, as if there aren't black people in Canada.
I was running through the six with my woes.
That's a show that has some problems. And even though so far on the episodes that have aired, those problems don't manifest themselves in anything like daringly offensive or over the top, it's something that you can't shake as you're watching it. And you start to notice that there's sort of a myopic view in the writer's room that is going to affect the show long term. It's distracting. The show works best when it's played straight as an earnest drama, featuring one of the better live-action Clark Kents we've ever had, and works towards the strengths of television as a medium, keeping the ongoing mystery narrative just present enough to be intriguing without overpowering the meat and potatoes of the show, the genuinely affecting story of Superman trying to raise a family. When it works, it's a nice little show, one I find myself drawn to with relative ease. It's just not all the stuff that people like about Superman that some people found missing from Henry Cavill's interpretation of the character. My feelings in the Snyderverse are well documented, and I'd be happy to see Cavill get 4 or 5 more movies in the Cape, mustache or not. But for all the complaints that Snyder's take was too grim dark and not colorful enough or lacking in charm, here's a show that ostensibly was going to provide some kind of useful counterpoint to that depiction, but is just as muted and realistic in slightly different directions. Still grounded and self-serious, but I suppose less violent and chaotic. And I don't know what to make of that. I know we're about to get a race-bent Superman movie, featuring a black Superman, some black version of Clark Kent that might be a period piece, will most likely be directed by a black filmmaker. It has the potential to be something that's interesting, and something that's special, and sure, I welcome it. I will totally watch it. But I feel like Batman fans have just been eating for decades, getting a real variety of adaptations of that character in popular media, and people that really love Superman are just not getting a Superman that speaks to them the way they would like to, myself included. And before, I sort of thought that maybe the fact that Warner Bros. Was heading in this direction, where they're going to do more multiversal stuff, I really kind of felt like maybe that meant we were going to get a Superman that I really wanted to see on screen. A Superman that felt more definitive the way the Reeves version felt in the late 70s to how we are today. And watching this show, even though it's good and I like it, and that if you like Superman, I think you should check it out or whatever, I don't think that we're getting that anytime soon. I just don't see that happening. And I sort of feel like it's kind of lame. I love the character so much, and I would love to see someone, whether it's in television or film or whatever, or I don't even, a high-budget animated movie or something, really dig into what makes the character so iconic and special and modernize it in some way, rather than us constantly getting bombarded with fake evil versions of Superman. There's an Omni-Man, there's the Homelander, like there's all these different things that are popular right now that are just like weird mirror versions of Superman. And there's no cool, good, pure Superman story for us to point to in the mainstream. And I don't know. I doubt that this conveniently race-bent version is going to do that. I doubt that we're going to get any more Snyder Superman stuff that could like actually explore the character more now that his arc has passed like that early part. I guess we just have to kind of accept that like that's just probably not going to happen anytime soon. And that's a bummer. It's like a really sad realization to have to come to at the end of Miracle Monday. So yeah, Superman and Lois is back on the CW starting tonight. New episodes for the duration of the season. I don't really know. I don't follow that network very well, but I'm probably going to keep tuning in, see where things are going. There's some fun stuff that they set up. I want to see how it's going to pay off. I like watching Tyler Hoechlin and Superman. I'll stick with it, I guess, but I don't know if I can tell you guys to. If you are already watching it and you have thoughts about it, please let me know in the comments below. I want to know what you think about the show. If you have been following the news about the new Black Superman movie, let me know what you think about that. If it's something you want to see, if it's something you're interested in, who you think they should get to direct it, who you think should play Superman. Me personally, at the moment, my dream team is I hope they get Shaka King from Judas and the Black Messiah to direct it, because he already seems to have a good working relationship with Warner Brothers, and he seems like he's got a massive talent that is yet to be tapped into. And for Clark, if you're going to have a Black Clark Kent, you should get William Jackson Harper. I think William Jackson Harper is the perfect guy for that role, and I don't know who else you would pick other than him. I think he'd be fantastic. Or like an unknown, whatever. Talk to me about this stuff in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to get notifications when I put out new videos. And yeah, hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other, wearing your masks, getting vaccinated. I will see you all in the next video.